Good morning, it's Tuesday, June 2nd, and we're going to continue our discussion on action and problem solving with a prompt from the Daily Stoic that really hit home and really connected with something that's been on my mind lately, and I'm sure for many of you as well. And the prompt read, "Where have I lost the forest through the trees?" Now, I think it's important to start by looking at today's accompanying meditation, which opens with Marcus Aurelius admiring how beautifully Plato put it. Whenever you want to talk about people, it's best to take a bird's eye view and see everything all at once. Of gatherings, armies, farms, weddings and divorces, births and deaths, noisy courtrooms or silent spaces. Every foreign people, holidays, memorials, markets, all blended together and arranged in a pairing of opposites. Now, this country could absolutely benefit from hearing Plato and his perspective right now. It certainly isn't being offered a fair and balanced view of all of humanity from the nation's highest office. There's no leadership saying, mistakes were made, I know you're hurting, and I will do whatever it takes to make things better, regardless of what's necessary. The irony is that as the country erupted into civil unrest with battle lines being drawn between various factions, that same leader attended an event, the brightest spot of the weekend, an event which has the power to be a great reminder of sympatheia, the interconnectedness and interdependentness of all of us. Yet he couldn't, or perhaps chose not to see it. Instead, he saw his Twitter feed and an opportunity to drive a wedge further between splintering peoples. And as I watched those two American astronauts successfully launch and make their way to the International Space Station, I was reminded of something that I once read and showed up in very timely fashion in today's meditation. It's a quote from Edgar Mitchell, an astronaut who was one of the first people to see the Earth from outer space. After safely returning to Earth, he recounts, "In outer space, you develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. From out there on the moon, international politics looks so petty. You want to grab a politician by the scruff of the neck and drag him 250,000 miles out and say, 'Look at that, you son of a bitch.'" And just imagine what Edgar Mitchell would have felt watching Trump's security team deploy tear gas and rubber bullets on peaceful protesters yesterday at a Washington church so he could use the church as a backdrop and a Bible as a prop for his self-serving photo op. Or how Edgar Mitchell might have felt seeing a country in which most are looking for grace, compassion, and unification, receiving only bitterness, self-interest, and combativeness, as the commander-in-chief looks to further solidify racial, ideological, and political lines. But while it's easy to point a finger at the top and ask for something different, that's not the sole or even the major source of the problem. Sure, he has the potential to provide leadership and direction, but the real and necessary change has to come from the people. It's not about higher level politics. And we don't all have the luxury of viewing the Earth from outer space to provide that profound perspective on equality for all of humanity, but we also shouldn't need it. We have to be able to see the forest through the trees. We have to stop viewing civil rights as a zero-sum game. Specifically calling attention to the point that Black Lives Matter does not diminish any other party's civil liberties in life. Nor does me wearing this shirt proudly, not just during Pride Month, but all throughout the year, impede on my freedom to choose my sexual orientation and openly acknowledge whom I love. At times, I share the anger behind Edgar Mitchell's words when he talks about dragging the ignorant to outer space and saying, "Look at this planet, you ignorant son of a bitch." But I know that anger isn't the right guiding emotion here. It never is. Instead, I'm committed to teaching my children the right lessons about equality across all considerations and artificial delineations. I'm committed to having the necessary and potentially uncomfortable conversations regarding our long-established and systemic inequalities. I'm committed to doing so in a rational, compassionate, and advocating manner, to choose to see the perspective of the astronaut, not just during historic rocket launches, but each and every day. And I hope the same for you. Have a great one. Bye.